This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we turn to talking about lots of new information that's coming out about the new Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker. But first, let me quickly thank Catbeast for sponsoring today's video. Their hats are really cool and they have really fair prices there too, so support this show today by checking out Catbeast, link below this video. Now back to Star Wars. A lot is on the line for Disney with this new release, to say the least. Not only are they still recovering from the mixed reaction to the last main Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, but also the last spin-off movie since then, Solo, turned out to be another little disaster of its own. In fact, Solo was the first Star Wars movie to lose money, and Star Wars movies typically print money too, often regardless of quality, but Solo was a unique series of mistakes that I could spend a whole other video talking about. In fact, I did a number of videos about the movie at the time, when it came out last year. But in case you missed those videos or are new to the Star Wars stories, let's go ahead and recap a few things and then we'll get to the new information about the new movie. Because the direction that Rise of Skywalker has taken has certainly been influenced by the failures of the previous two movies in the series. Not to go too far back to start off, but to put it briefly, Star Wars returned from a long hiatus in December of 2015. That's when The Force Awakens came out, and it obviously blew up and did tremendously well at the box office. It wasn't a perfect movie, sure, and it certainly relied heavily on nostalgia too, but the general consensus was still good. The long-awaited return of Star Wars to movie screens was off to a good start when The Force Awakens came out back then. Next, 1 year later, and Star Wars Rogue One came out. This was the first Star Wars spin-off movie, and while it also did very well money-wise, it certainly had more fans giving mixed reactions to it. And here's where many major detractors from this series' revival started to veer off. Rogue One was a competently made movie, sure, and it had lots of action and cool effects too, but without likable characters or story arcs that are interesting, Rogue One came off a little lacking, a little empty, and frankly, it was kind of an unnecessary side story that no one really asked to be told. Rogue One was also a prequel movie that took place right before the first original Star Wars film. In it, we see a team of renegades going up against the Empire, trying to steal the plans for the original Death Star. Those plans end up being used and mentioned in the original movie, becoming a bit of a MacGuffin for the original Star Wars A New Hope film. So basically, while we're watching Rogue One, we already know how it ends. Kind of a bummer when you think about it. And this connection between the first movie is worth pointing out extensively like this too, because it just goes to show the new Star Wars movies have relied heavily on past films and nostalgia, a trait which gets even worse with Rogue One. This whole movie was made just to reference the old ones, even being plopped in right before the original timeline starts. And the best parts of Rogue One were cameos from the original characters, like when Darth Vader appears at the end and slaughters a bunch of people for no real reason other than to reference something old and to make it into something new. But really, we can all see they're just recycling old ideas over there at Disney, and they're reusing characters and images, and they're doing it in a way that seems like a cash grab, and like they're trying to make as much money as possible. Not very artistic or respectful for the original material, to put it kindly. Then things made a dramatic turn for the worse when the next movie, The Last Jedi, came out in 2017. The Last Jedi became a rather big dividing point for fans of this series too, as the reactions turned out to be mixed, to say the least. It was originally well received too, but over time, when people had a moment to think, we all realized how bad the movie actually was. It also didn't help that the mainstream media was kissing The Last Jedi's ass, and even attacking fans who didn't agree with them. Yes, this is where things got pretty contentious with the fans for the series. The Last Jedi was called too long, overly indulgent, and the director's attempts to subvert our expectations really amounted to him not giving the audience what they want on purpose. And then Rian Johnson would attack you for not accepting his shitty work. In fact, The Last Jedi's director Rian Johnson still defends his film by insulting the fans on Twitter to this day, a move he became notorious for back when the film came out almost 2 years ago. Man babies was the common insult slung at Star Wars fans who didn't like The Last Jedi, even if your criticisms were good and your comments and critiques were fair and level-headed. This release also marked a point where Star Wars got significantly more political, meaning they got pro-social justice warrior and woke as hell in The Last Jedi. Sure, The Force Awakens was a bit of a lady reboot with woke black and brown co-stars too, but they were never too in your face about going left-wing. But now with The Last Jedi, they doubled and tripled down on that. Not only was the cast now led by 3 different strong, unstoppable female leaders, Rey, Leia, and Holdo, the latter of which being a pink-haired feminist-like character, and also, this movie even introduced another female lead who was going girl power in spite of the boys, so to speak. I'm of course talking about the now infamous and very controversial and awkward character of Rose Tico, who's not only a woman but also an Asian minority. She became a sort of love interest for the Finn character, who she likes to emasculate in every scene possible. But the overloading of female girl power characters wasn't the only problem with the movie either. There are also loads of other issues, like the disrespect to Luke Skywalker's character that was so bad, even the actor who plays him, Mark Hamill, he became very vocal about his disagreements publicly over and over after the movie came out. So regardless of The Last Jedi still making lots of money, the reaction was highly mixed, to put it kindly, and the future of the series was certainly put into jeopardy going forward. Then, as I mentioned earlier, Solo came out a few months later in May 2018, and it had a very mixed reception too, even though I would say that movie wasn't that bad actually, and I really enjoyed it more than The Last Jedi. But regardless, the production was mired in controversy, even having to change a director, and they didn't sell enough tickets for the movie for Disney to make money on this project. Now, I don't want to spend too much more time on Solo because I do want to get back to the new movie and the new stuff, but let's just say that Solo got woke and went broke, and they went political too, and it even earned itself the nickname of Soylo over time because it was so beta, and I think you can imagine what I'm talking about from that kind of nickname. But now, finally, I want to get to the new information on the new movie. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker had its first trailer come out about 4 months ago actually, but there was even more footage that was shown in another video release called a special look that came out at last week's D23 conference. D23 is a sort of Disney convention where they announce and release new information about new movies and TV shows. And after taking a look at both the special look and the new poster, which Disney also posted on Twitter, and well, I gotta say, it don't impress me much. Here's the poster, and this was the first sign that things were going bad. Many have remarked that this almost looks like a fan-made amateur effort here, and others have even noticed that the image of the Emperor at the top of this poster was straight up ripped off from an old Toys model. That's why it looks so cartoonish. And below the Emperor, you could see Rey and Kylo Ren are having a lightsaber fight on some random tower for some reason. Then there's some sort of lightning or blurring effect over the sword fight, and now my eyes are actually pulled back up to the Emperor's area, because damn, those stars in the background there look hella fake. Next, let's compare this new poster to the last one in the series. Here's the Last Jedi poster for comparison, and you can see not only the similarities here, but also the differences, which really tell us a lot. After The Last Jedi failed and all the new characters pretty much did shitty, Disney is now putting Kylo and Rey in the background and focusing more on an older, more beloved character and villain, the Emperor. And this also shows that the new ideas of The Last Jedi failed. So Disney is turning back and focusing more on the old ideas and the nostalgia. And this is proven even more behind the scenes too, as the director for the third movie in this trilogy is now J.J. Abrams, who also directed the first movie, The Force Awakens. And he's pretty widely known for his nostalgia influences and reference-heavy productions. So Disney bringing him back is them again saying, hey, we know The Last Jedi didn't work really well, so we're turning back to our original director and trying to save this thing. But saving this series might prove to be a harder task than Abrams is capable of. Because if you look further into the trailer and special look of this new movie, it's really coming off as rather confusing and pretty hard to figure out. For example, the first trailer features a voiceover of the now seemingly deceased Luke Skywalker saying, "No one's ever really gone," which is immediately followed by a loud laugh from the Emperor. So that's 2 formerly dead main characters who are apparently coming back now. Not the worst thing in the world, and there's also been a precedent set for this in Star Wars, but still, it raises a lot of questions regardless. And also, bringing back the Emperor here for the third movie in the third Star Wars trilogy really says a lot too. Instead of going with something new and possibly being the first series without the Emperor, well, instead of going in the direction it seemed that The Last Jedi was taking things, well, Disney is reverting back to nostalgia instead, and hoping they can fix this trilogy and this series from an even worse disaster. Another bad sign and an overuse of recycled content can be seen in that special look video we talked about. It's basically another different kind of trailer that relies even more heavily on nostalgia than anything before it. In fact, about the first half of this 2-minute special special look video is all shots and scenes pulled straight from the original movies. Then it finally transitions to the new characters and a new voiceover from the Emperor. And then the most confusing part yet happens. A shot of Rey looking like she's a villain now, even holding a new dual blade lightsaber that unfolds to become one that looks very similar to the villain Darth Maul's lightsaber from the Phantom Menace. So is Rey a bad guy now or what? And what about Kylo Ren? He kind of turned good in the last movie when the two teamed up to stop the boss in The Last Jedi. But then Kylo goes evil again at the end of that one for no reason. So yeah, needless to say, I'm more than a little confused here. And while that means I'm admittedly kind of more interested too because of this, and teases are to be expected here, but still, I don't think having everything change and everyone having confusing loyalties is a good look right now. This late in the series especially. We are going into the third movie in a trilogy after all, and instead of things being established well and being pumped and excited about a satisfying conclusion, well, instead we're all left worried, confused, and probably still upset about the previous movies failing and leaving such a bad taste in everyone's mouth. In the end, so far, the promotions for Rise of the Skywalker are clearly not too impressive. Sure, there's still a new hope here, and old school fans like myself still want the movie to be good, but from what I've seen and what's happened so far, we definitely should be more skeptical and more ready to face yet another awful and embarrassing flop that will surely disappoint many in one way or another. What do you guys think? Are you excited to see this new Star Wars movie when it comes out in December? Do you think Rise of the Skywalker will get all woke and girl power again like the last movie? Or will J.J. Abrams be smart enough to tone down that SJW bullshit? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.